What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the Detroit Lions safety position for the 2020 NFL season, but specifically Will Harris. We've done a video like this for Austin Bryant and Amani. Now it's time for Will Harris. Let's get it started. Welcome, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And before we get into the main part of the video, obviously, I have to update you guys on the background. So this is kind of like a little project that we are doing together, as there is no green screen that we are utilizing right now. We are still going to use the green screen, but right now there's no green screen. So I wanted to make a background. In our last videos yesterday, you guys saw just the two jerseys, and you're like, okay, that's okay. But some people really didn't like it. I actually had one person said, hey, go back to the green screen until you finish it. However, I don't want to do that. I want to continue to update it with you guys, and then I want you guys to just have suggestions, like, we'll take that off, or we'll add that. No, by the way, we are not putting Michigan State or Ohio State stuff up here. I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it. If you're a Michigan State fan, hey, go Lions, but let's take a look at what the background now looks like, okay? Some of the updates that we made. Let's break it down. So the first thing you see, obviously, the Michigan helmet. Come on, man. Come on. Obviously, I have to have one of those. Then you see the picture. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, what is it? Well, it's me and T getting a picture with Derek Walton Jr. and Zach Irvin. Awesome. Michigan basketball player. So bang, bang, Michigan, Michigan. And then we got the Detroit Lions helmet. Clearly, we have to have a Detroit Lions helmet. I mean, this is a Lions channel. And then finally, my favorite addition, I think, is the little whiteboard. Now, it may not be the easiest thing to see, but I think it's going to be very fun. So what I'm going to do is pick out random comments. And I've done this in certain videos. I'm like, hey, I'm going to put comments in videos, and I just show them on the screen. But I thought it'd be better if I just showed it in the background for the entire video. If you have a really cool comment or something like that, it could end up back there. So make sure you put a comment in the comment section. Just interact with the video, and you could end up there. I also put the subscriber's name, and we will react to the comment together. I just think it's funny. We'll leave it up for the video. Maybe if I have like a goal or something we're trying to reach, or whatever we're trying to do, I can put something else up there. But I think this is pretty fun for the most part. Yes, there are still some open sections for these cubes, so we can put more stuff in there. Also, you guys gave me some jersey ideas. I seen Matthew Stafford, Javid Best, Don Muhlbach, but for some reason, Barry Sanders, I haven't seen a Dan Orlowski one. Okay, why is no one wanting to see Dan Orlowski back? What's wrong with you guys? Come on, man. So let's take a look at the comment of the day. Here we go. It says, is it just me, or does Dion look a little bit like this pro basketball player? Okay, you know, this is a nice little compliment. You know, he knows I ball on the court. Call him Curry. No, but, you know, it's a nice little compliment from the artist. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to check on the link. I click the link, and guess what shows up? Yeah, that art, you had to do me like, he did have to do me like that. I mean, I don't know why. Do I really look like that? Okay, let's just get right into the video, y'all. This is not the best comment to start off with. Why did I pick this? Let's get into the video. Let's talk about Will Harris. All right, everybody, now let's get into the main part of this video, and let's talk about Detroit Lions safety, the former third-round pick, Will Harris. So the Detroit Lions selected Will Harris last offseason, who had a pretty big role for the Detroit Lions in his rookie year, playing in 58% of the snaps defensively and 56% of the snaps on special teams. His numbers looked like this. He had 3 passes defended with 1 sack, 43 total tackles with 6 missed tackles. On 23 targets, he allowed 13 completions for 204 yards, which is 15.7 yards per completion. That's not very good, but only 56.5% completion percentage, allowed 3 touchdowns and a 125.7 passer rating. So as you can see, the numbers in pass coverage aren't the best. I mean, the completion percentage allowed isn't too bad, but in coverage they're not the best. He also has 6 mixed tackles, which is definitely a concern. And when you watch it play, you can definitely tell that he is a rookie. He's a very raw player. So initially, my point of this video was to just focus on Will Harris and just talk about Will Harris for 2019 and what my expectations are for the 2020 season. But as I continue to watch games and research, I just kept going further and further and further, and all of a sudden I'm talking about the whole safety group. So we're going to just try to focus on Will Harris at first, but I'm sure it will expand to us talking about the entire safety group. So last season, if you look at the Detroit Lions safety group, we had Tavon Wilson and Tracy Walker, who was going into his second year, and then you had the rookie Will Harris, who was stepping in. Now, we did have Quandre Diggs up until week 6 of last season, until the Detroit Lions decided to trade away Quandre Diggs, which obviously gave a guy like Will Harris more playing time. So I don't know how it is for you guys, but I know for me personally, I start to kind of forget things when the season gets closer. At this point in the offseason, I'm starting to kind of forget things a little bit because it's been so long since we've seen Detroit Lions football. That's the exact point of this video. I mean, we always get excited about the rookies and the new free agent signings, but the point about this is that usually year 1 players don't have a huge impact. It's those guys that are returning, maybe second year, third year players that break out for the Detroit Lions. So we need to make sure that we don't forget about those players that maybe didn't have the biggest role last season, but could have a huge role in years to come. So for me, when I looked at Will Harris, he played a lot at at free safety for the Detroit Lions. Now, in the Detroit Lions defense, there's a couple of things you have to be able to do as a defense player. One, you need to be able to tackle. There is no player on the Lions defense that can't tackle. If you are a guy, a cornerback, safety, whatever it is, a secondary guy, if you're not good at tackling, you're not going to be on Matt Patricia's team, all right? That's how Matt Patricia looks at things. He's not going to bring in a guy that doesn't want to tackle or doesn't tackle very well. That's not what he's going to do. He needs his corners and safeties both to be able to tackle. You also need to have some versatility. Now, cornerbacks, it's kind of a little bit different there, but for the most part, you need to have versatility even in the safety position. The Detroit Lions run a lot of 3 safety sets, and I saw it a lot when I was watching games back, and they run a lot of 3 safety sets, so you need to be able to play at that slot cornerback position. You need to be able to play as a free safety. You need to be able to drop into the box, play strong safety. You need to be able to move around as a player in the Detroit Lions defense. So those are 2 things that are very important, and you did see a guy like Will Harris move around, but for the most part, he was the free safety for the Detroit Lions. And then you would see a guy like Tavon Wilson, who would spend a lot of his time in the box, taking over 400 snaps in the box for the Detroit Lions and only 158 snaps at the free safety last season. And then you look at a guy like Tracy Walker, he took 254 snaps in the box and 331 snaps at free safety. So a little bit more at free safety, but you can still see it's a pretty good mix there. Now, Will Harris, I would say, wasn't exactly a starter last season. I mean, he was out there on 3 safety sets, and sure, his time improved when we did trade away Quandre Diggs after week 6, but his 2 safety sets, it was usually Tavon Wilson and Tracy Walker that were holding it down once Quandre Diggs was gone. When Will Harris was in there, we saw some good, and we definitely saw that, yes, this guy's a rookie, and you saw some raw talent, and it was like, okay, yeah, he definitely needs to improve there. He needs to get more comfortable here. But the reason that we did draft him was mainly because he was a leader, and he was the heartbeat at college. He was the heartbeat for Boston College. And when you look at him last season, you could see that on the field. Now, I have a really weird take and a really interesting take after I watched Will Harris. I'm going to hit you guys with this interesting take. So this offseason, the Detroit Lions decided to move on from Tavon Wilson. He went to free agency. So Tavon Wilson is no longer a Detroit Lion for 2020. Now, you may think, oh, that's not a big deal, but Tavon Wilson was actually a pretty big part of this Matt Patricia defense. I'm not saying he was the best safety in the league, but he was pretty good, and he played a huge role. Just look at the numbers alone for Tavon Wilson. The dude had 98 total tackles, 5 passes defended, 1 sack. He had 44 passing targets, allowed 35 receptions for only 6.8 yards per completion. He limited the heck out of those, only allowing a 92.2 pass rating. Also played 73% of the snaps on defense and 26% of the snaps on special teams. So he had a huge role in the Detroit Lions defense, and as I mentioned, over 400, nearly 450 snaps in the box for the Detroit Lions, basically playing as sort of a linebacker. Tavon Wilson's role also got a lot bigger once a guy like Quandre Diggs was traded away. Now, Tavon Wilson is no longer here. So you no longer have Quandre Diggs, and you no longer have Tavon Wilson. Those are your guys that really bounce through the box. And while Tracy Walker did play in the box, he was still more of a free safety for the Detroit Lions. So when you look at our safety group now, we bring in Duron Harmon, who's a free safety. We have Will Harris, who played most of his snaps at free safety, and you have Tracy Walker, who played a little bit more in the box, but still, mainly his snaps came at free safety. So now we have 3 free safeties and Jaron Curtis. What the heck are the Detroit Lions doing? That may be your question, but I think this is an interesting take. Maybe it doesn't work out like this. Maybe they don't use him like this, but I have a feeling that the Detroit Lions are going to use Will Harris much different than they did last season, and they think that Will Harris was not in the right situation. See, think about it for a second. Tavon Wilson is no longer here for the Detroit Lions. That means the Lions didn't bring him back. So he was on the last year of his deal. They let him go. Have the young safety in Will Harris, who I think is going to take over a big role next season. Now, I don't necessarily think his snaps will go too high up because I still don't believe he's one of the Detroit Lions' top 2 safeties. With the addition of Duron Harmon, who is known as a free safety, I don't see him changing to a guy that bounces to the box a ton. Duron Harmon is known as a free safety, a closer in the back end. So I think that will be his role. And then when I look at a guy like Tracy Walker, we talked about it time and time again, Tracy Walker will be the guy that gets pushed to that strong safety position. And Tracy Walker can do that. You will see him line up man-to-man against running backs, tight ends, slot wide receivers. He will do that. He will take on the challenge. He played man-to-man multiple times against Larry Fitzgerald. And even though he didn't perform the best, he took on that challenge. He also can bounce down into the box, and he has the size to tackle. I watch Tracy Walker, and there's definitely some problems. There's definitely some struggles. But when I watch Walker, I see that this guy can be a star in the league. This guy can be great in the NFL. So I think those are your top 2 safeties. But as I mentioned, the Lions run a lot of 3 safety sets. And because of that, that's where I think Will Harris comes in. Now, the competition will really be between Will Harris and Jaron Curtis, because that one position that we don't necessarily have, if, Tracy Walker is more of the strong safety and Duron Harmon is that free safety, a guy that's playing like a linebacker in 3 safety sets. Now, sure, all these guys move around. I mean, you'll get certain situations where they're both on the outside playing like outside cornerbacks. They'll all move around. But for me personally, I think Will Harris is going to play completely different next season. I think Will Harris can be pushed more like a box safety next season and in a different role for the Detroit Lions. If you watch Will Harris back in college, he wasn't necessarily just a linebacker, a guy that was a big hitter, a big tackler, the heartbeat of that defense. And when I watch Tavon Wilson, I see a lot of similarities. His ability to tackle. He was a monster. Tavon Wilson was always hyped up. He wasn't the deep guy all the time. Here and there he was, but he wasn't most of the time. He was usually down closer to the line of scrimmage. And I think that's exactly what Will Harris is going to be. See, it's not like Tavon Wilson is this huge guy that was way bigger than Will Harris. So I think we're going to see Will Harris move down the box type of role next season and be the heartbeat for the Detroit Lions in the inside in those free safety sets. So I don't necessarily think his snaps will improve. However, he's going to have tons of competition now with Jaron Kearse because Jaron Kearse has the build to play exactly like a box type of safety because he is 6'4". He's got the Isaiah Simmons type of look, and that's exactly what he is. That's what he was with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, he was mainly known as a special teams guy that, when he was on defense, showed a lot of potential. So I think those guys are really going to compete for a similar role. Now, the great thing is here is that no matter who starts or who gets what kind of playing time, the depth is really good. The Lions have tons of depth at the safety position, which is a great thing because now Will Harris going into second year, Tracy Walker, who started to look really good last year, is going into now his third year. You have the veteran Deron Harmon, and then you have Jaron Kearse behind it. The depth at the safety position for me is good. You even saw CJ Moore play last season. So I think the depth is good, and you can rely upon if there is an injury and someone has to step in, you at least have good depth at that safety position. But for me, I think that's what Will Harris's role is going to look like. When I watched Will Harris, here were some of my takeaways. The first thing was this. He will line up at every position. Again, the versatility, that's something that you must have in a Matt Patricia defense. He also is a very explosive hitter. I thought that was the best way to use it when I watched him. The dude doesn't make every single tackle. He will miss tackles here and there, and that's going to happen. That's going to happen with time, especially at the safety position. You're out there on your own. It's really tough to be the last to defend. A lot of one-on-ones with some really elusive players like receivers and running backs for how much he played free safety last season. So there were some missed tackles, but he's a very explosive player, a very explosive tackler for the Detroit Lions, and he's also that leader. He's the heartbeat. That's what they called him out of Boston College. When someone asked him, are you a dog or a cat? He said, I'm 100% a dog. That's what he said when he was going into the draft. Now, what were some weaknesses that I took away? Definitely some recognition in the pass. He bites on some double moves. He takes bad angles. He gets beat on some passes, and I think that's something that comes with time, but you can see he's not super comfortable back there. I mean, he showed some glimpses. He got better when the season went on. He played in a lot of games, so he did have a lot of experience last year. However, he wasn't the best when it comes to pass coverage. At least in my opinion, I don't think he was the best in pass coverage. He was actually the best where he graded out was in pass rush, going to the quarterback, getting to the backfield, and I think that's why that will be more of his role next season. That's so they don't know how much the snaps will go up, and I think he's going to have a direct competition with Jaron Kearse for a lot of starting time. But the good thing is, if you watch Matt Patricia's defense, he is not afraid to get every single player involved, and that is exactly why he keeps adding depth. He played CJ Moore last season, who you don't even think of at the safety spot. He was playing CJ Moore, he'll play Miles Killebrew. He doesn't care. He will mix literally every single play in, and that's the same thing that he will do at the cornerback spot with Michael Ford, with Amani, with Darryl Roberts. He'll mix everybody in out, make sure everybody is fresh, and play guys at different spots. So for me, I feel like Will Harris showed a lot of potential last season, but he also showed that he was a rookie, and he has a lot of things to improve on, especially in pass coverage. Ron Harmon to me takes over that role, and Tracy Walker steps down. Now, the great thing is Will Harris can do that, so he can step in that role. But with the Detroit Lions having Tavon Wilson on the roster last year, and he's on his final year, Wilson was good for the Lions. So it wouldn't have made any sense for a guy like Matt Patricia to say, okay, you know what, Will Harris, we're going to put you there, and you know what, just move Tavon Wilson back to free safety where he's not comfortable. Why would you do that? Let Tavon Wilson do what he does, learn from maybe a little bit from afar, and now when he steps in and for practice, and now when he steps in 2020, he should be more comfortable and ready to go. So Will Harris is going to be a big part of the safety group because he's going to have a lot of rotations. I don't see him being a starter next year, but he's going to have a major impact. The secondary is important, and those are just my takeaways on Will Harris for the 2020 season. There's a lot of information I took here, but simply I just want to keep it kind of simple and not ramble on too much and talk about too much numbers because honestly, I like knowing all the numbers and stuff like that, but I feel like it gets really confusing if I'm just reading numbers and you're just like, okay, this is kind of whack. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. What else do you guys think I should add to this? I am reading through those comments. Make sure you put a comment up that's funny. Just whatever it is, make sure you comment. It could end up here. I don't know. It's picking random stuff. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.